The thunder cracked like a whip across the darkening sky as Jacob Hale spurred his horse through the northern pasture, the storm's fury matching the chaos exploding around him. Outlaws, 5 of them, masked and ruthless, had burst from the tree line, their rifles spitting fire in a hail of lead. His faithful gelding bucked and screamed as a bullet tore through its flank, sending Jacob tumbling into the mud-slicked ravine below. Heart pounding, he pressed his body flat against the cold earth, the acrid smell of gunpowder burning his nostrils. Bullets ricocheted off rocks, showering him with shards, but he waited, breath ragged, until the riders thundered past, convinced their quarry was done for. Blood seeped from a graze on his arm, warm and sticky under his torn sleeve, as Jacob clawed his way back to Oak Ridge. The town loomed ahead, its wooden buildings hunkered against the wind like wary sentinels. He staggered toward the livery, his mind a whirl of questions. Who were those men, and why target his land? But as he neared the stagecoach post, his world narrowed to a single, shocking figure stepping down from the coach. Margaret Hayes, her gray hair pinned neatly under a bonnet, her black dress crisp despite the dust. 8 years since Emily's funeral, and here she was, unannounced, her sharp blue eyes locking onto his like an accusation from the grave. Jacob's heart clenched. Emily's mother, the woman who blamed him for luring her daughter to this god-forsaken frontier. What ulterior motive hid behind that composed facade? Her letters had dripped with resentment, hinting at unfinished business. "Jacob," she said, her voice steady but laced with frost. He nodded, swallowing the knot in his throat. "Mrs. Hayes, didn't expect you. I came for Sophie," she replied, lifting her chin. A girl needs her kin, but Jacob sensed more, perhaps a quest for closure, or worse, to reclaim what she'd lost. The driver unloaded her trunk, muttering about the brewing storm, as Jacob mounted a fresh horse from the livery and helped her up. They rode in silence, the air thick with unspoken history, until the creek ahead swelled with melting snow. Turning into a raging torrent, Margaret's horse reared as the floodwaters surged, sweeping her sideways. Without thinking, Jacob leaped from his saddle, plunging into the icy current, his arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her free as the horse vanished downstream. They collapsed on the bank, gasping, her body trembling against his in that first, reluctant touch. A spark ignited unwanted, unspoken, stirring something deep in Jacob's chest, a mix of protectiveness and peril. Was this woman his enemy or his salvation? The ranch house stood defiant against the encroaching dusk, its paint peeled by relentless winds, the chimney puffing thin smoke like a weary sigh. Inside, Margaret's gaze fixed on the faded tintype of Emily on the mantel, her daughter, smiling eternally, forever young. Grief crashed over her like the floodwaters. Could she endure this harsh land that had stolen Emily? Jacob watched her, his own guilt resurfacing. He'd built this place after the war, a young soldier turned rancher, believing hard work could mend a broken soul. Emily had followed him west, her softness a balm against the frontier's bite, until childbirth claimed her, leaving him with Sophie and a hollow heart. He rode back to town for the girl, fetching her from the widow Jenkins' place. Sophie, 8 years old with Emily's pale curls and wide eyes, stared at Margaret with cautious wonder. "Is that really my grandma?" she whispered. Margaret knelt, offering a tentative smile that masked her fear of rejection. "Yes, darling. I've come a long way to meet you, overs to that night." Sophie's tales of the town's stray cats filled the air, an innocent chatter that eased the tension. But Jacob and Margaret exchanged glances loaded with doubt. Would this fragile truce hold, or shatter under buried blame? As wind howled like lost souls outside, Jacob paused by Margaret's door, overhearing her whisper to Emily's photo. "He took you from me, dragged you to this wilderness. How can I forgive?" The words deepened his self-doubt. He was the villain in her story, the man who'd failed to save his wife. Sleep evaded him, memories of Emily's laughter mingling with the storm's roar. Dawn broke with frost glazing the windows, and the scent of fresh biscuits wafted from the kitchen. Margaret moved with quiet resolve, her hands deft as she set the table. The aroma softened Jacob's guarded heart. He hadn't smelled home-cooked comfort in years. But he resisted admitting his need for help, fearing vulnerability in this woman's presence. While mending fences that morning, he reflected on the ranch's beginnings. Haunted by Emily's gentle spirit now echoed in Margaret's precise, no-nonsense ways. Was it betrayal to see similarities, or a path to healing? Midday brought terror, a rattlesnake coiled in the yard, striking at Sophie as she played. Margaret's reflexes flashed. She grabbed a shovel and smashed the viper, her face pale, but fierce. Jacob rushed over, heart in his throat, scooping Sophie up. "You saved her," he muttered, grudging respect mixing with fear for his daughter's fragility. That afternoon, as Sophie read from Emily's old primer, Margaret shared childhood stories of her daughter-laughing escapades in Boston Gardens bridging the generational gap. Jacob listened from the doorway, torn between gratitude for the bond forming and jealousy that Margaret could offer what he couldn't. In town for supplies, whispers slithered like snakes. That widow haste shacking up with the reclusive Hale? Scandalous for a son-in-law, societal judgments tested Jacob's patience. He clenched his fist at the general store, while Margaret met stares with defiant poise. Old Sheriff Harlan, a grizzled veteran with a mustache like barbed wire, tipped his hat. Trouble brewing with those outlaws, Jacob, and now this? Folks talked. Back home, dusk brought a coyote pack circling the barn, yellow eyes gleaming hungrily. Jacob grabbed his rifle, heart steadying for the standoff. Margaret joined him, lantern in hand, her presence a subtle bond forged in shared vigilance as they drove the beasts off. Rain turned the ground to mud, mirroring their emotional quagmire. Margaret confronted Jacob by the fire. "You're isolating her, Jacob. Sophie needs more than survival, she needs family." Her words pushed him to question his solitary fortress. A heated argument erupted, accusations flying like bullets. "You blame me for everything. You let her die alone." But it ended in exhausted silence, each glimpsing the other's raw pain. A crack in the walls they built. Next dawn, Jacob found Margaret repairing a torn curtain, her quiet determination evoking Emily's resilience, sparking a flicker of warmth he quickly suppressed. A letter arrived from Margaret's sister in Boston, questioning her stay. "Come home. This wild place isn't for you." She hesitated, torn between old comforts and this new purpose. Hiding Jacob's anxiety she might leave, taking Sophie's budding joy with her. Sophie asked innocently, "Why'd you come now, Grandma?" Jacob's vague reply, "Sometimes people need time to heal," left Margaret reflecting on her delayed journey, guilt twisting like a knife dot as evening fell. They shared coffee by the fire, conversation turning to shared losses. "I miss her every day," Jacob admitted, the air thick with unspoken forgiveness that teased but didn't fully land. Then a fierce blizzard hit, snow piling like judgment. The roof groaned. Jacob ventured out to reinforce it, boots slipping on ice. He nearly fell, but Margaret's strong grip pulled him back. A moment of raw vulnerability that exposed his isolation's toll. Huddled by the stove, Margaret's voice cracked. "I blamed you for Emily's death, for stealing her west." Jacob confessed his guilt. "I should have written for the doctor sooner." A cathartic release shifting. Their dynamic from adversaries to allies. In the storm's eye, they held shutters against howling winds, hands brushing, symbolizing crumbling barriers. The blizzard cleared, revealing a sagging barn. Repairing it together, Jacob noticed Margaret's blistered hands, her resilience challenging his view of her as an intruder. She was a partner, tough as the land itself. A mail rider delivered a guardianship notice, stirring fears of legal battles. Societal norms questioned a widow with her son-in-law, adding pressure from corrupt officials in league with rival ranchers. Riding to town, they faced judgmental stares, but Margaret's firm declaration, "I'm here for good," strengthened Jacob's resolve, turning whispers to reluctant nods. Sheriff Harlan warned, "Watch your back." That rival Baxter scheming. Back home, Sophie beamed, "The house feels fuller with you, Grandma." Melting tensions, hinting at healing. One night, the outlaws returned, shadows sneaking toward the house. Jacob spotted them, revolver barking in a gritty shootout. Bullets splintered wood as he defended with raw cowboy ferocity, dropping one assailant. Margaret loaded a shotgun, firing a blast that scattered the rest, her bravery earning Jacob's admiration. In the aftermath, bandaging wounds by lantern light, their eyes met in a charged glance, adrenaline fueling an undercurrent of attraction forbidden, yet undeniable. Spring thaws greened the pastures, mirroring renewal. Many fences side by side, their banner lightened, "You're handy for a city woman." He teased, though gossip about their improper arrangements simmered. Sophie thrived under Margaret's tutelage, laughter echoing, but a sudden fever gripped her, sweat beading her brow. They nursed her through the night, fear binding them closer. Jacob's hand found Margaret's in the dark, a silent vow. Recovering, Sophie pleaded, "Stay forever." "Grandma," Jacob urged Margaret privately, vulnerability raw. "We need you, I need you," but rival rancher Baxter Espy